every night after work, he goes home and he's translating the book. So I think he can also share some of his inputs from reading the book. Generally, I think the story of this book is amazing. Because we were in the middle of working on a different book, and we were at the peak of it because we have a second book coming in Israel about relationships, intimacy, back to innocence. So yesterday I was actually in the first PR meeting for to prepare for the upcoming book, Back to Innocence. So I went to Yediot Sfarim, to the publishers, and I met the PR person to discuss. And we had all the strategy, relationship, intimacy, this and this. And then I told her, yeah, but there's another book coming, hopefully in the next few weeks. And it's about, she said, okay, what is it about? I said, it's about the war. So she said, I don't know if it's smart. Like, you're going for relationship, then you're going for the war. What do I tell the journalist? What are you about? What do you discuss? What's your specialty? What's your field? You can't talk about intimacy and about the IDF at the same time. Maybe wait a year or two. So I told this to a friend, and he said, she's right on a human level, but I guess we're connected to a godly mission, which means it doesn't always make sense on a human level. And the wisdom is there and it must be shared. And so it just happens that we're gonna publish two books at the same time on very, very different topics, both very, very relevant and necessary for the time.
Now I understand why you're not allowed to be intimate in a time of war. People can't handle two things at the same time. I don't understand the problem. People don't have room in their brain for two subjects. You can't be intimate and know the news.
No, it's like, think about her. What do I say to the journalists? I want to promote the book. So it's like, what is your specialty? Are you specializing on relationship? Or are you specializing on war strategies? It's like
Why do you have to specialize?
or are they one and the same?
They're both important.
So Yossi actually said a really good metaphor, in the synagogues, there's like the holes in the pushkas. So sometimes there's one hole. Tzedakah. Sometimes there's tzedakah for the synagogue, tzedakah for for the poor people, for supporting the smart, the Talmidei Chachamim. So some people will say, if you put too many holes, then people won't pay as much. It's too confusing for them. They don't know what to do. But the truth is, people pay more because they see more holes. They put more coins. So I think actually, if you create more vessels for knowledge, it's gonna actually bring more curiosity and more interest, because the pillars of wisdom and knowledge are open, and it's our responsibility to make them accessible.
So really, she's saying I can't promote two books at the same time.
But you will do it.
Good. And one is in English and one is in Hebrew. It's very different.
No, so I was telling her that we're planning to do it in Hebrew because the Israelis are waiting for the war book as well. They can't wait.
That'll take a few months.
Yeah, yeah. So for me also, this book is it's very interesting because of my background and the journey in my life. And it's also interesting because I came from a very in the political spectrum. When I was in the university and I was studying, and even in high school, I was in educated and into a very specific path that is very, very left wing, um post-Zionist, um, kind of. So always see the other side as the right side, and we're wrong, and we have to kind of figure out what we're doing, and maybe we're taking something that is not ours. And and I had a whole process, a whole journey, and it's very difficult because you're in a society that thinks in a certain way. And if you think outside of that script, then you could be in trouble, like professionally, socially. You're seen as someone who's like betraying the values of the group. So when I started thinking differently about things, it was in opposition to them. And suddenly, writing a book that states so clearly, like what is real and what is fake, what is right and what is wrong, and unapologetically talking about the ownership of the inheritance of the Jewish people, how their claim for the land, their connection to the land, the identity of our enemy, and how fake it is, and how unbased it is, and what it takes its life from, just to sign my name and to publish a book like this. I think for a lot of people it will be a surprise to see that this is that I wrote it together with that I'm part of this, and it shows just how the brain is constantly, you know, exploring, evolving, discovering, and eventually, I feel like with Rabbi Manis Friedman, the teaching is not, oh, now you became conservative, you're unwoke, now you became right wing, now you just, it's not this. It's an evolvement. It's not coming back. It's evolving from the place that you are, recognizing everything that you collected and taking a next step. So if I want to take it back to the relationship book as well, so the PR person asked me, so this book talks about, you know, men, women, family. Is it liberal or is it conservative? Because I want to know which journalist should I send it to, which newspapers, where should I be careful that people won't be annoyed or offended? So what is it? And it was very hard for me to explain because on the one hand, uh, you could say it's conservative. Yes, it says that a man is a man, a woman is a woman, a family is good, marriage is good.
Dangerous
But
language.
but it's like, why I can't I, I can't frame it this way, because from this teaching, what I'm learning with you, uh, the way we put things uh, in a way that includes everything and kind of accommodates all of the process of thinking that humanity goes through, and just put something that is, it's not going backwards and it's not staying, it's just the next stage. It's just moving forward and collecting everything that we've gathered, recognizing everything that we've gathered, and going to the next step, putting the godly factor into the existing system of thoughts. So this is what I think this book is doing to win a war. It's it's not right wing, it's not left wing, it's not conservative, it's not liberal. It's none of this. It's putting God back to the picture, back to the army, to politics, to just clearly to put the point of view of godliness and and the real purpose of our life into how we read reality.
I think the review says that, no? You expect this book to take sides. Whose side are you on? It doesn't take sides. It talks about what's true and what's real, what's moral, and what's foolish and irresponsible. It has nothing to do with which side you're on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's missing.
Yes, everything is very polarized and sensational. Somehow, if I'm honest, I think one side maybe will feel more comfortable with the messages, then maybe another side will be more challenged. But it will be in a different way. The real question here is what is true, not what is your political opinion, but what is true, what is godly, what is eternal, what can never be changed. And I
So,
think that's a very
so
strong message that we bring.
both sides will be uncomfortable.
Will be
I hope.
interesting to know.
I hope. Yeah.
And I have to say, Zalman, when you told me when you came with this idea that we should do a book about the war, and it was just really at the peak of everything here was so crazy. It still is, but now it's like crazy in a routine. But there it was when everything we were I was writing this as I was escaping bombs, going into the shelter, shocked about everything that's happening around me. Like everything was so intense. And then you came with this idea, we should write a book about this situation. So it's like we're writing a book about a war during a war and publishing it during the war. I don't know if anyone has ever done something like this. So it had to be written very, very fast. Rabbi Manis and we did a lot of Zoom lessons at the time to support the people of Israel and to support the community. So we did a few lessons every week. So we had the content already like kind of bubbling and floating, and we just had to do lots of conversations over Zoom. And then I just had to write it like day and night, in a matter of weeks. So it's crazy because the book, our first book, Lo Bikashti Lavo La'olam, it took 2 years. The second book, Back to Innocence, it took 2 years. And this one, it took a few weeks. Afterwards, most of the work was editing, production, but the actual writing had to be very, very fast. So I'm still worried. I'm waiting for the good reviews because such a book that is written so quickly. Whenever someone says it's good, I'm like, okay, you can breathe.
I was actually hoping that by the time the book does come out, the war would be over, and it would be a topic of the past. Hopefully that'll be true very soon. I do want to say that we are going to be sending out a signed copy. If anyone has not yet purchased the book or would like to purchase the book again, if they want to go ahead, use that link in the comments or in the description. Go ahead and show us and write in the comments that you purchased the book, and we're going to make a raffle. One of you will be getting a signed copy by Rabbi Friedman as soon as the printed versions do come in. So go ahead and purchase the book. Let us know about it. I'm sorry.
Signed by Elad as well.
Oh, that's international shipping. Okay. Or I guess next time Rabbi Friedman comes to Israel, we'll have to get a bunch of them signed. Signed by Elad as well. Look at that. Okay. So if everyone goes ahead and purchase the books, On Amazon, it says temporarily not available. That's strange. Okay, hopefully not. Hopefully we just have to refresh.
Maybe
And
sold out.
well, it can't because it's on print on demand.
Do you have a copy?
I have a copy at home. I'm in the office now.
How does it look? Is it big? Is it small?
It looks.
Tiny.
I'm sorry.
It's tiny.
It's good. It has exactly the amount, enough in words to get the point across.
Uh-huh.
It's 2 weeks worth.
2 weeks worth.
Well, it has enough information to stop the war, right? That's the point, to stop the war and to bring everlasting peace. Like Rabbi Friedman says, at least 50 years of peace.
Really,
Yes.
the war should have taken 2 weeks, and the book should have taken 100 days.
Exactly. Exactly. But Elad, is there something, is there an idea that was new to you that you learned in the process of writing this book? And then I want to ask the same question to Rabbi Friedman. What's new in this war that you didn't know before?
So first of all, we knew that by the time the book is out, hopefully the war is over. And if not by the time it's out, it will be over at some point. So the book has to have a value that transcends the time of the war. It should accompany the war, and it gives lots of support and clarity in this time, but it also has a value that transcends it. So it spans, I think the value that transcends it is because, first of all, we give lots of background, historical background, spiritual background, lots of terminology. So what is Israel? What is a Jew? What is a Palestinian? Where is Palestine? What is this war really about? When did it start? These questions are essential no matter whether we're a time of war or not. So it will be relevant and important after the war as well. And then we also look at the future. So we have a whole chapter that is looking forward to what happens after peace. Is peace the end goal, or is peace only a necessary base for something greater than peace? What can be greater than peace? What is going to happen in the near future? What is it that we're fighting for really, and when will it happen, and how will it look, and even how will the Temple Mount be changed in a situation of peace? So the questions that we deal with are much wider than the actual war, but of course we also, at the heart of the book, discuss directly the issue of war ethics, the issue of the army, questions about morality, questions about hostages, all the burning questions of the time, of the battlefield, let's call it, are at the heart of it, but it's not shrinked to it. It's much wider than this. So for me, what was new is just mostly, I think, looking at how, realizing how Torah can be relevant and alive and simple and clear, and it's not something ancient that cannot be applied today. It can be very easily applied today if we only make it accessible in the right way. That's the first thing. The second thing is looking at the enemy from a Kabbalistic point of view was very interesting for me, and looking at the godly spark that we are actually redeeming by realizing that a war is never for no reason. And there's always a deeper purpose for the war, and it's about the warrior and what he discovers about himself and the inner powers that he unleashes by facing the fear, facing the enemy, proving that he is loyal to the goal, to the mission, that he is determined to claim what belongs to him. So the purpose of the war is not to weaken us, it's to empower us. And I think that's a very important point that kind of switches how we look at things. The enemy is not here to make us weaker or to bring down our confidence. On the contrary, the enemy is always, the bully is always there so that the nerdy kid can actually realize that he's not a nerd, that he has much greater strength than anything if he's connected to his real mission. And that's a very optimistic way of looking at this whole very uncomfortable, very painful situation.
Amazing, very uplifting and very empowering. It should make us all stronger, because the initial reaction is it makes us all weaker. People can't think straight, people can't sleep, people are not happy. But really, it should really bring out the resilience and the power of the Jewish people and all their Jewish support, all our supporters. Before we continue, we'd like to welcome a special guest who has been to Israel many times, even since the war has started. Benny Friedman, are you there?
I sure am. How are you?
Baruch Hashem.
Hi, Tom.
Benny Friedman, how is it going to Israel even during these times? What have you seen when you went to Israel?
What I saw when I was in Israel is an economy that's suffering.
They didn't pay you?
They didn't pay me. I keep sending bills. It said keep sending return to sender. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, even just to go and to go into a shop and to buy something and to take a taxi, I felt like it was something that people should do. It's very, very important. Everybody's suffering. And I also felt like everybody's very determined. Everybody's very, very feeling very confident and very strong. And there's a lot of unity and there's a lot of determination. And it's something very, very special. Especially to go visit soldiers at army bases and to go visit soldiers who are unfortunately in hospital, to hear stories and to see their love for the Jewish people and for what they're trying to accomplish. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable.
Benny, you're one of the first people to put out something musically for this situation. What has the feedback been with your Am Yisrael Chai collection?
So the initial reaction, the gut instinct was to put out after Simchas Torah a sad collection of songs. You know what I mean? Because we were really heartbroken. But that was just for a second. Right away, we reconsidered and thought to ourselves that what we're trying to accomplish here is not necessarily just to assuage our feelings or to express the sorrow that we are feeling, because really that, I think, would be more of an expression from the Yetzer Hara. Rather, the idea would be to try to do something that could contribute to the war effort. And that would be to make a medley of songs that convey simcha, that convey confidence, that convey energy and determination. And the words that we used were to do something that can contribute to the war effort. And we just saw yesterday that they're actually using the tracks that we recorded to help in their war effort. They use it to encourage and invigorate the soldiers, and they also use it to I don't know if they say this clear, but the people are saying it, that they use it in prisons to let the prisoners know where they are. They use songs like Am Yisrael Chai to remind the prisoners that Am Yisrael Chai. So it's actually very special, very, very rewarding.
So
pretty amazing.
Did you see what Yossi wrote, that they're playing Am Yisrael Chai to the terrorists in prison?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was. That's the feedback we were getting. Yeah, they're
crazy.
using it to
encourage them never to do that again.
In the early days,
holy brainwash.
Yeah.
In the early days, they used the songs to.
Wait, maybe open your Zoom.
Okay. Never mind.
Yes, here we go. Has to mute. Yes, go ahead.
I said, okay. I said that in the early days of the war, they used songs to annoy the prisoners, to take them out of their minds. So like on repeat. And now they do it to break their spirit, completely. And they're using your song, which is amazing. I saw it yesterday. It's incredible.
So somebody asked me, don't you feel uncomfortable that they're using your song to torture people? So I said, whoa, 1 second. First of all, to listen to my song is not torture. Not torture. I can think of worse things than to listen to my music. Not torture. That's first of all. Second of all, I'm in full and total support of doing whatever it takes to break down the defenses of those people whose defenses need to be broken down until the soldiers can get from them whatever they need to get from them, whether it is behavior or whether it is cooperation or whether it is information. I am totally in favor of that because we have a goal. The goal is to stop the war and to come out of it victorious and not a temporary pause.
Remember, we talked about it. I was very, very impressed, but I also thought that we shouldn't use the word pachad.
Yeah.
Lo lefachad. No, there's no fached. Don't mention it. That word should not even be in the song.
Yes.
Should be completely positive. Right?
Yes.
We're not afraid. We're not afraid. That scares people.
Right.
Like there's something to be afraid.
Right.
But I'll tell you what came out from this whole thing. Just talking this morning to some people, and they said that they heard from from sources in Israel that after the war, when the soldiers come back, they're all going to need very intense therapy. Because what they saw is so traumatic that they're going to need therapy for that. But I think there's something even deeper. Right now, every soldier and most of the people in Israel are on a spiritual high. We are doing the most important thing, the most crucial thing, the most godly thing. We're serving a purpose, we're fighting, we're doing. When the war is over, they're going to crash. It's like anticlimax. They're going to go back to what? To selling shoes? That's frightening. Where does all this positive high energy go? So the challenge is, can you maintain this ideological and noble spirit when there's no war? Can you have the same uplifting experience when you're doing regular life things and you're not being a hero? That is the challenge. And in Chabad, we had that challenge historically. All the heroes who stood up against communism with great Mesirut Nefesh, they were heroes, they were awesome. And then they came to America and they crashed. The trick is, why can't we be as enthusiastic and as idealistic when there's no war as we are when there's a war? So all those soldiers who come back have to find a passion for life that is as strong as the passion they're feeling now. Now, every step of the way, Baruch Hashem, Ezrat Hashem, what's going to happen when they come back? There'll be nothing to say Baruch Hashem about. That's a serious emotional crisis. Most soldiers have that problem, not just in Israel. When you were soldiering, you were being a hero. Come back to regular life, it's a shock. So we need to be enthusiastic about life when life is good. And that's part of what we're talking about. After the war, life has to become more exciting, more noble, more inspired, not less. So we don't want to go back to business as usual. And that's why, this is the punchline, I think. I don't know if we mentioned it in the book. We got to change the name of the army. The Israeli Defense Force, stop already. We're not defending. We're fixing the world. We're changing the world. We're not defending. We're not on the defensive. We have nothing to be defensive about. We got to go on the offensive, because that's the real war. And the real mission is only Eretz Yisrael, that tiny little spot, is the Holy Land. And what about the rest of the world? So you got to stop being the defense. If you attack me, I'll fight back. No. We have to take on the world and change the world. Morally, spiritually. It's not that we went to Eretz Yisrael, so please leave us alone. No, they're not going to leave us alone, because we need to be their teachers and they are desperate. We can't say, leave us alone. We have a right to defend ourselves. Yeah, that's for babies. We have a responsibility to the world. We are partners with God, and that means the whole world has to become godly. So no more apologizing, no more being careful. Take on the whole world and change it, because they're in trouble, not us. The world needs help. We don't need their help. That's called Gaon Yaakov. It's time that we started running the world, because the anti-Semite says we do it anyway. So, as long as we're being accused of running the world, let's do it. and let's do it well. The whole world will benefit.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Benny Friedman, for the guest appearance. And we have Yosef Brahman is now going to is the one that's actually going to be translating the book from English into Hebrew. He's got the job of doing it fast. Hopefully, the war will be over by then. Even if you get it by tomorrow, it should be over already. And but Yosef, tell us a little bit about the book, and tell us a little bit about your understanding of the importance of this book.
First of all, thank you so much for Rabbi Manis and Rabbi Zalman for your incredible work to do this book, to print this book, to publish it. It's amazing. It's just every time I read it, I do it slowly because I'm a perfectionist. I know I have to work a lot, but I only have time at nights. So, and it blows my mind. It's just amazing. It's full of chidushim. I've heard all of Rabbi Manis's Zooms about the war, and the book brings a lot more chidushim because it was written via conversations and chats of Rabbi Manis and Elad during the first weeks of the war. So it's really it's completely different than Lo Bikashti Lavo La'olam and the other books. Well, first of all, because it doesn't have mekorot. It's just all the knowledge that Rabbi Manis had from years of getting to know the Rebbe and his perception of what's truth, and of course the Torah, and it's not opinional. That's what I liked about it. I like about it because I'm reading as we speak. It has many great, mind-blowing bits. For instance, let me see. Everything about hostages. The hostages. Nobody ever talked about hostages like that. That it's true. It's a mitzvah. Right now, let me tell you, because most of our of the people in the Zoom are not in Israel, I assume. But what's going on in Israel is that all the resistance to the government before the war now became a struggle to release the hostages, and it's the same leaders of the fight from before October 7 are now leading the fight to release the prisoners. So when I read the book, I've realized then that it makes us weaker. Of course, I felt it, but now I understand how much it makes us weaker because we're good. We're Jews. We have a good heart. We can't stand it then when a Jew is in a foreign land, in a hostile land, and in the arms of Hamas, the worst people in the world, maybe in history even, and they're there, but it's that compassion, the Jewish compassion, the Jewish heart that they use against us. So if you see the bigger goal, the wider goal, the Geulah, what you want to achieve, sometimes you have to be not so rachmunes, not with so much rachmunes. And I think that's the most challenging thing in order to win a war is to stop being so rachmanim. Because when we're being extremely rachmanim, we damage our own chances of survival. And also, it's not true because it's not more when you turn the morality towards your enemy, it's not really morality because you're helping him fight you, and you hurt the victims of the the soldiers and the civilians and everybody. So it's a very difficult time now in Israel, but the most amazing thing that came out of it is so much tshuva, so many people in Hebrew we call it itpakchut. There's a lot of interviews with everywhere with people who became sober. It's sober, itpakchut. So I was under the influence of the left, of the media, and now after this, I see that there is no chance of peace like I thought there would be, like the peace that I thought, like the two country solution, and that Israel, as it says in the book, Israel is not really free. It's not really independent, and it's such a shame to know this. But people really have to know the truth. So we had an idea maybe to send the book to all 120 members of the Knesset so that they, okay, not all of them, but maybe not the Arabs. No, I'm kidding. They're going to use it against us as well. But
Send 99 copies, right?
yeah, 99 copies. 99 members of Knesset voted today against the idea of two-state solution, the two-state solution being forced at us, which is good news. But yeah, incredible book. I can't wait. I can't wait to finish it and to have everybody reading it in Hebrew as well. Lashon HaKodesh.
Amazing, Yosef. Thank you very, very much for your work. Obviously, we're looking forward to it. We know it's going to be excellent because all your work is excellent. So thank you for that.
I have the first review, Zalman, that Rabbi Manis wanted me to read the first review of the person who read it on the first day and finished it.
Let's hear it.
His name is Michael Stanbuli, and very talented guy. He immediately downloaded the book, read it. So I'm gonna. It was written in Hebrew. He translated it for us quickly, so I hope it will be clear. But let's get some of his points. So he says it's quite common to see parents talking to their babies in their language, mimicking the infant's language. It is just as common to see the child growing up adopting those children's speech mistakes until relatively old age. So he's talking about how, when we're talking to a child, we're always like, we have this baby talk. We try to talk to a child, so we're kind of reducing our talk. When you have a message to transmit, or when you're in a certain position, you will be better keeping your position status and your stance. An attempt to lower yourself to your audience's level instead of pulling them up to your level would eventually end up in embarrassment. A teacher is honored when he or she is keeping their status as a teacher. Parents get recognition when they are letting their child mature up and become an adult, and not when they are lowering themselves and become a child-like. So this is the opening, and I think the idea is that in this book, we're really trying to release the Jewish consciousness from this notion that we always have to reduce our level and change our language according to who is in front of us. If it's the nations, if it's the UN, if it's America, if it's the Palestinians. So we always kind of try to be like that parents who baby talk with his babies. So I think it's a very, very important point. So in this war, one of the things that became a very popular discourse in Israel is the idea that to Arabs, you should talk Arabic, or in the Middle East, you cannot use a Western terminology. And these are the most heard phrases in Israel since October 7th massacre and the war. Right agendas become popular, and the speech is getting security-minded and nationalistic at the same time. Radical leftists as well call for morality at the battlefield and for mercy towards anyone who is not involved in the war. And in this context, and in this atmosphere of the Jewish Israeli society, Rabbi Manis Friedman and Dr. Elad Ben Elul, new book, is published, an urgent book about the war. So it's like a book that we wrote quickly in the war that was preceded by a Zoom sessions with hundreds of participants. Although I'm already familiar with Rabbi Manis Friedman's worldview and Ben Elul's style, I was surprised by the book. As I first opened the book, I was expecting to see some radical rightist manifesto, and I was wrong. No, this is not a political book, security-minded or such that represents any familiar social position or political position. This book is to evoke another voice, an old one, to be precise. It doesn't try to convince the reader or to give them a tool for successful arguments. Instead, the authors are trying to bring back a forgotten voice, the Jewish voice. In the Middle East, with Arabs or in the discussion with America, the state of Israel should use one language and terminology, the Jewish one. The only voice that should be heard from the Jewish state is the Jewish voice, a voice that echoes thousands of years of rich history, a voice that brings to the table ancient wisdom and a point of view that is 1,000 years old, and the attitude of the Torah. The name of the book is To Win a War, the Jewish Way. And this is the aim. It doesn't address the leaders, and it doesn't try to claim that the successful way to solve the conflict in the Middle East is found. It shifts the focus and brings to the front the Jewish attitude towards war, the Jewish attitude towards peace, the Jewish attitude towards morality and mercy. In the book, besides talking about war and peace, the authors are trying to figure the Jewish way for sanity in a post-war time, in times of national trauma, the Jewish way for a better and peaceful future. The book doesn't try to save or reserve on critique when needed. In their short and sharp style, the two have written a short book that is actually a must-have Jewish document in a wartime. A short, comforting book that encourages for action-taking and hopefully will reach and inspire as many Jews as possible.
Boy, that review is almost as long as the book.
I didn't hear you, sorry?
The review is almost as long as the book.
Longer.
Maybe longer.
That was excellent. Thank you very much. Rabbi Friedman, is there something, we have a few hundred people watching us. Is there a takeaway that everyone can do to make the world better? Everyone wants to know, what can I do? We want to stop the war. We want to stop the suffering. Nobody likes what's going on. What can we do in our personal lives, being that we are not in Israel or we are not on the front lines?
We also have to stop the confusion. It's confusion that has led to this problem. Who is who? Who inherits the land? Who are the descendants of Avraham? Who did God promise the land to? It's confusion. The best thing we can do is stop the confusion. A woman is a woman. No more debating. No more discussion. A Jew is a Jew. No debates and no discussion. Stop dragging us into your confusion. We're not confused. If you don't know that the Jewish people are the chosen people, then I have nothing more to say to you. You're just too ignorant. If you don't know that the capital of Israel is Yerushalayim, then I'm embarrassed to be talking to you. Go back to kindergarten. True is true, real is real. No more of this foolishness. two-state solution. You don't make two states between two nations who can't tolerate each other. What a silly conversation that is. It was never true. There was never a two-state solution. There is no peace process to mess up. There was never a peace process. The only time you have peace is after you defeat the enemy and then let them live in peace. Before the enemy is defeated, you do not talk peace. It's childish. It's confusion. So what can we do? We have to take a very confident, mature, aged approach. We've been here a long time. We are a very ancient people. We know what's going on. We are not confused. The Torah is the same Torah that we always had, that we always will have. And you're not going to drag me into your foolishness. If we present that to the world, everyone who's confused is going to come running. They're going to want to know what we know. How come you're not confused? What book are you reading that helps you not be confused? Like the people in Korea. They're learning Gemara. So maybe that's what's helping you not be confused. So they all want to read the Gemara. That's what we need to do. We need to be confident. We need to be proud, which is not arrogant. It's not egotistical. It's connected to reality. It's real. Real is real. The chosen people are the chosen people. The chosen land is the chosen land. If I have to argue with you, forget about it. Not going to legitimize your confusion. But we have to stop being confused ourselves. And I think the book helps a lot for those Jews who are obviously pro-Israel, but a little bit they feel guilty. Maybe we're not so nice. Maybe we are killing too many people. Maybe we are killing too many civilians. It gets to us, this confusion. The book will help clarify the confusion. There's no reason to be confused. There's no reason to have doubts. We know what's right, and right is right, and truth is powerful. And if we just go with the truth, we will win the world, not just the war. That's why the book is called To Win a War, not the war. It's not just about Hamas. That's the tip of the iceberg. We need to win the world so that the world will not produce a Hamas. That's our goal, that's our objective, and every Jew counts. Every Jew who stands up proud and correct will attract the attention of those who are looking for the truth. If you hang up a sign, what do they say about Vegas? If you build it, they will come. If you offer truth, anyone interested in truth will be attracted, and the world will change.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Friedman. If your name is Sherry on the chat, please go ahead and send us an email. We will be sending you a copy of the book signed by the two authors, by Dr. Elad and Rabbi Friedman. So thank you very much, Sherry, and thank you everybody that went ahead and purchased the book. Dr. Elad, do you have any closing remarks?
I wanted to say that this week's Dvar Malchut book, the weekly Dvar Malchut articles that are shared, the opening Maimar of the Rebbe was said in Purim Tafshin Lamed, and it's amazing that it was published on the week that the book was published, because it's about the war of Amalek and why must the hand be lifted of Moshe, and how the war continues and continues throughout. And there's just so many topics here that were raised in the book, and suddenly to see it in this Maima was on this week was crazy. And it put an emphasis on one point that I think is very important: the idea that the war it originates inside of us. So the first war is an inner war. It's a war between the good and the bad that is inside of us. We have actually two types of bad. We have the good. We have the holy, the godly. Then we have the good. That's two types of good: holy, godly, and good. Then we have the two types of bad. The two types of bad is one, the Amalek, which must be completely eradicated. And then we have the bad that can be transformed and elevated. And this idea that this is something we do inside of ourselves, and then the Rebbe says the expression of it outwards is wars, is Amalek, is the physical war that we see. And I think it's a very important and deep message that we have in this book, is to constantly remember and be in tune with the fact that as Jews, our inner world is as important as the big battlefield. We have to fight the big battlefield, but we also have to win the war inside of us. When we win the war inside of us, which means overcoming the fears and the doubts and the suspicion, and just the coldness, and letting the passion, the godly passion, win. This is the inner winning. And when there's an inner triumph, there will be an outer triumph. And I think that's a very important message in this book. So hopefully it will touch and inspire a lot of people.
How do you like that? I speak like a doctor and you speak like a rabbi.
Me?
We've switched roles.
You're the comedian.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Elad. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And we look forward to your. I was thinking that maybe this book is for the war topic, and then once the war is over, we need to get excited about life. That's the new book coming out from Dr. Elad and Rabbi Friedman on Return to Innocence.
Yes.
Right? Be excited about the day-to-day, and to be excited about living a pure life.
Yes, back to innocence. Actually, a lot of our Zooms in the first weeks of the war was anyway, we discussed relationships and purity and holiness. And the rabbi was saying that that we should empower everything that was damaged during this war. So if the issue of purity or modesty or sexuality, anything like this that was damaged and polluted and traumatized, these are the things that we should focus on healing. So actually, we started with this book launch by saying we're publishing two books that are very, very different, that talk on different fields. I don't know if there's any other person except for Rabbi Manis who can publish two books on such different fields, but actually Torah is one, God is one, and this is a very connected, very, very connected topic, because the war damaged families, damaged married couple, damaged the source of life, purity. And this upcoming book, Back to Innocence, is about healing those points exactly.
Amazing. Well said. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Zalman.
Rabbi Yosef.
So what to do?
Sandra showed the book. Thank you, Sandra.
Oh, wow. Really? Can I see?
To win a
Looking
war
for
the
Sandra.
Jewish way.
Oh, okay. It's not too small, Rabbi.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sandra.
Great. You have it before us.
What's the inside?
Did you read it already? No.
Again,
Okay, we'll be waiting for your review.